Hi, and welcome back to Your Future, Your Finances. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn. We're talking with Chris Dionot, Family Wealth Advisor with Planning Solutions Group regarding succession planning and family-owned businesses. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
We were talking before the break about what is a financial plan as it relates to a layman or somebody who owns a business and comes to you. So you were talking about valuation and some of the other things that you do. So walk through that if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. And again, the important thing is it's not a very simple process. There are a lot of different components that come into play. But I mentioned before the importance of financial security, and in regards to not only what's coming in the door, going out the door, and what you have, but in regards to what you have a big asset, your business. With most business owners, it's the value of the business that's their biggest asset. And it's extremely important for a business owner to understand really what your business is worth. Mm-hmm. Most business owners will round to the highest million without really understanding what goes into the value. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is, and I'll give you a couple examples, is if you're a business owner and you overvalue your business, well, then one, you may not have a buyer. Mm-hmm. No one's going to pay for a business that's too expensive. Mm-hmm. And even if you are able to identify a buyer, you may actually, it may have a negative effect on your retirement. Because if you think your business is worth X, and someone comes in and pays you X minus a lot, mm-hmm. well, then the planning you had for retirement may be affected because you have less assets. Mm-hmm. So that's overvaluing it. You could also undervalue it. Most people would say if I undervalue my business, that's a good thing because I'm getting more money. But if you get more money, you also may pay more taxes. Mm-hmm. So taxes are always a concern. And with a family business, the other big problem you have is equalization. So if I'm a business owner and I have 2 children and my daughter's in the business and is my successor, then I want to get the business to her. But if I have a son who's successful but not involved in the business, and I undervalue the business and I give it to my daughter, then now she has a much more valuable asset than I had anticipated. And as a family, how do I equalize what I'm giving to my son? Mm-hmm. So there's some components that come into play there in regards to being equal and equitable. So again, extremely important for a business owner to understand the value of his or her business.
And I guess you're trying to help them do that while they're trying to run the business, and sometimes the business doesn't even make it. There's situations where a business fails.
Yeah, it's actually quite staggering that the percentage factors of businesses getting from one generation to the next. It's actually less than 50% that a business goes to the second generation. It's less than 20% that it gets to the third generation, and single digits that it gets to the fourth. So succession planning can be very difficult. Now you mentioned what are some of the problems that arise that would cause a family business to fail. There's a lot of things, egos, lack of communication, mistrust, but from a family business perspective, there's really 3 main things that stand out. One, obviously, is family conflict, and I've touched upon some of the concerns there. Number 2 is transfer taxes. If you have a business and you decide to sell it while you're alive, well, you could pay capital gains tax because of what's called your low basis in the business. If you decide to gift it during your lifetime, so if I wanted to gift my business to my kids, you could have gift tax issues. And if I decided that I wanted to keep the business and pass it through my estate planning documents at my death, well, then you would have estate taxes.
So they're all taxes.
They're all taxes. Now, again, depending on the value and things like that, there are exemptions where you may or may not hit them. But there are taxes pretty much around any corner. So that's number 2. 1 is family conflict. 2 is transfer taxes. And number 3 is a failure to plan. When you have a business, not only is it a family business, but you have employees, you have salary, payroll, not only is it just you and your employees, but your employees have families. So planning for succession is extremely important. And I always like to say, I don't like to say it, but it's true, bad things happen to good people. And when you're a family business owner, if you're not planning for your succession, ultimately there's going to be problems there. So, and that's where it ties into to coming up with an efficient plan.
Sounds like a pretty complicated process.
Funny you should say that. It really depends. There are some business owners that I work with that it's very complicated. Others that are quite simple. It goes back to tying in with your overall financial plan. And when you have a family business, you have a lot of moving parts. And I talked before about corporate documents, estate planning, insurance, risk management, all those things, taxes. And a lot of times, many of the people I meet, they're successful business owners, and they've done good planning over the years. But what often happens is you'll create a problem, or pardon me, you'll solve a problem in one area, and you'll inadvertently create a problem somewhere else. And ultimately what that leads to is you have coordination gaps and missed opportunities in your planning. And those coordination gaps can often be quite costly and often rear its ugly head after the fact.
Yeah.
So it's really a matter of making smart decisions, getting everything coordinated, and equally as important, making sure that your advisors, not only your financial advisor, but your accountant and your attorney, are all on the same page and aware of what that overall efficient plan is.
Yeah. Any other examples or stories you want to share as we wrap up?
In regards to coordinated plan?
Yeah.
Well, the one common one that I see quite often is every business owner will go out and have legal documents done. So they'll have a will and a trust, and also they have life insurance. But one common misperception in planning is that life insurance is tax-free. Well, life insurance is income tax-free, but it's estate taxable dollar for dollar. So it actually increases what the IRS looks at as your net worth and could inflate your estate taxes, where as long as you're whoever's managing your insurance and your estate planning attorney are talking, that's a problem that you can alleviate and not deal with. So
Sounds like a lot to know. Website you want to give out?
sure, it's www.psgplanning.com.
All right. Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
You're watching Your Future, Your Finances. We'll be back.